What's up, Rockstars? A impromptu video, as you can see. I'll explain all that, but I wanted to do one final update on where the issue is with Quackalope and Into the Unknown and kind of all that stuff. Kind of putting, I think, a topper on the issue. I'll give you guys some more information, some factual information, and then I'll move on to regular news stuff right after this. Okay, so first, explaining this background a little bit. I'm actually in a hotel recording on my phone. It's kind of fitting because I'm going to be covering a phone video he made. This one is because I am also out. As you know, I do YouTube part-time. I cannot afford to raise a family of 6. I got 4 kids, one of them special needs. So I can't afford that on what I make on YouTube with everything combined. So, which is fine. I'm not pushing you guys towards anything there. It's just not practical. I want to be able to provide for my family. And so I do normal kind of work stuff outside of YouTube. But as such, they made me come out here to Seattle for a Microsoft Build. It's just there for developers to learn a bunch of stuff there. So I've been here all week. I do apologize. You've been seeing what I recorded before I left for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the top 10 I made. But I wanted to get this out because there is some new stuff I really want to cover. So I'm going to put a cap on this unless something drastic comes out, and then kind of move on. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say this, I'll link in the description below my previous video that covers end to end the entire issue with what happened with Into the Unknown and Quackalope and their interactions. Suffice it to say, there was a whole email chain and stuff like that. We're going to be showing that slightly because I need to correct some information, or some incorrect information that Jesse actually kind of spread, intentionally or not. We'll discuss that as well. But either way, I just want to make sure the facts are straight. You guys know what the facts are and can make your own decision on that. I'm not really trying to pass too much judgment here. I said pretty much everything I need to say in that previous video. So this is just keeping the information good here. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what's happened. So this is his page here. I did bring my editing laptop, by the way, so forethought there, I suppose. And you'll notice that his video, of this negative video, his negative confirmation bias video, I'm not necessarily going to call it a review. In fact, I don't believe they said review in it like this one. But either way, it's hidden now. And in fact, if you look at this apology video, you'll see that he links to it there. And it's actually titled The Horrible Truth of Alien Trespass Odyssey. I believe that's what it was before. I don't think it's changed. So it never really said review, which is probably good. But either way, you'll see an our statement. It doesn't list the subject, which is probably a smart idea because listing the subject in the title would probably get a lot of clicks, but not necessarily the clicks they want. So I can understand just saying a generic our statement. So it's not just right there on the title, kind of what the issue is. I'm going to break down kind of, and you can watch this by all means. Again, I'll link to this down below as well. I do suggest 1.5 speed. He does speak very slowly and a lot of pauses. The typical apology video you see when people are feeling bad, they tend to slow down a little bit, right? It's when you're excited that you speak fast. That's why when I'm talking about a game I have to slow it down a little bit. But there was some kind of incorrect information. So I want to go over that. And then I'll cover the apology video itself. And then we'll just move on from that to where we're at now with the repercussions, where we're going, and then move on. Okay, so I have the transcript pointed out here so you guys can actually see what was said as well. It's a very useful feature in YouTube, by the way. I did watch this entire thing, of course, when it was posted, not even just for this video, just so I'm aware of what's going on. But I did note that there was some wrong information here, so I want to kind of clarify this. Now, he did say right here, and you can read it right here, and I reached out, I think back in January, I believe. You'll have to check the date specifically. I don't have them written down. I have a good sense of them, but I won't be entirely accurate. This was around the 8-minute mark of the video, so it kind of prefaces this with, I didn't write down any notes or any hard facts, any dates or anything like that. I'm just filming this. I'd like to, well, I'll kind of say my piece in a little bit here. Farther down, 9 minutes and 37 seconds in, he says, but because we hadn't heard from them, I think it took about 2.5 weeks for them to respond. Because we hadn't heard from them, we invited down one of the Patreon members, and he goes on and explains kind of what was already detailed and what you guys already saw. And the reason I point those two things out is because he's actually very accurate. It was January, and he is very accurate. It was just a few weeks, even a little bit less. So he's very accurate on those. He definitely has a good sense of things there. However, he gets the information wrong when it comes to the order of things, which you recall I pointed out quite clearly, and we'll go over it again here. So he says here, After that interaction, we went back and forth a few times. They let me know that they definitely wanted to work with us on either this or future campaigns, and that in the act of having a paid or sponsored content, there would be some requirements, not comparing it to other titles, not having any negative content posted about it. I was okay with all this, not because I wanted them to pay me so that I wouldn't post negative feedback, but instead because if I'm going to produce content for a title that I'm going to work alongside a publisher, which is what I'd prefer to do, I'd rather get the stuff as accurate as possible. So notice that he says essentially, hey, we're going back and forth, and they tell me that they want positive only content, and I'm okay with this. It's a very, I don't want to say carefully worded, because I don't think any of this is necessarily carefully worded, but it definitely alludes to a different form of interaction than what the actual issue was. Now, if we want to actually go to what the issue was, we actually have it right here. So you'll see right here, February 3rd, right? They start this conversation here, right? And then right here, this is Jesse here, right? Saying, hi, Marcin and Bartek, right? He says, if we were working in collaboration with you, we would scrap the footage we have already recorded. Okay, that was said. And then in response to that, so he offered that information first. He told them, I have negative video. I'll scrap it if we work together on a business deal. And only after that did they respond saying, thank you for the detailed answers. Everything checks out. As for our guidelines, it's basic stuff of paid content. The coverage should be strictly positive. There should be no direct or prolonged comparisons to other games. And then they go on. But he offered to scrap the video. He offered the information that they'd already recorded negative content before they said that. And that's, I guess, kind of my small issue here, is this definitely alludes to him hearing that and then just kind of responding to it saying, yeah, I'd scrap it. Of course, I'm okay with that. They didn't mention that. He did, and he did it beforehand. The reason I'm pointing that out is just because I want to, again, report this as accurately as possible. And he was very accurate, actually, here. He was pretty good. And he was very accurate here. He's pretty good. And in fact, throughout the whole video, he's got his head on straight when it comes to the facts. But right here, at the one point that's, I think, probably the most important, it's not important if it was January or February, he gets it wrong. Or at least he alludes to it being wrong, or he definitely gets a lot looser with the factual information. So just take that as you will. You can decide for yourself what that means. Maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe it's just, him trying to rationalize stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to make a statement on that, except to say that he got it wrong once, and the once was the point about scrapping the video. Now, I will point out, however, that this is something that needs to improve. When he says, I won't have all the facts straight here, I didn't write down any dates. Why? If you're trying to course correct, like I've had some issues in the past, and I've definitely tried to improve on that and definitely tried to correct that going forward. And I mean, again, I'm not perfect, and it's not just now suddenly I'm good, but like getting there, right? Improvements. But I would think a direct response to throwing out inaccurate videos that you knew were inaccurate, and you just said, it's fine, I was going to post inaccurate videos, to then make an apology video and not even bother writing down dates to be accurate on something as serious as this, it makes it seem like it's not taken seriously. It would not have taken long to read those emails and write down the dates. It would not have taken long to get the facts straight. And if you're talking to your audience and you're still inaccurate while trying to apologize for being inaccurate, it's not showing a lot of growth. So it's definitely not the best reaction there. It would have been a lot better to respond with straight facts. Just here's what happened. Here's how it went. This is what we're doing to change that, and then moving on from it. Now, there is another point I'd like to point out here, and that's this right here. At the 25-minute mark is the first time you're going to see the word apologize, the first time you see the word sorry, and just to kind of prove that point, you're not going to see another highlighted word here for apologize. And if we do sorry too, if you're thinking that is actually perhaps said first, it's actually not, it's afterwards at 25:52, and again, it is not said before. So in the our statement video, the statement is very much about him and what happened and where he's at with his life. And then eventually, about 25 minutes in, he actually says the word apologize, and shortly after, sorry. That is not necessarily the best reaction to this. That should have been within the first minute, within the first 30 seconds, just, I'm sorry, guys. And then kind of explain why you're sorry. But first and foremost, I do really believe in actions. Words are cheap. Actions are more important, and they're more telling. So regardless of the words spoken, whether he said apologize or sorry, the actions, I feel, of saying it so late after explaining so much about himself and about what he thought and about what he intended is incorrect, I feel. So hopefully we see some better improvement there. I really hope he can kind of take this in and really start to improve, and those are actionable improvements that you guys can see. I really do. Because it's unfortunate that that's the reaction, is more incorrect information and a lot about him, which again, it's just too bad of a kind of a capstone to this thing. As for the kind of reaction to everything, if you look at the second printing of Trespass Odyssey, it's hard to tell here. I believe there was a small dip, at least at first. But again, they had already gained some, so getting a dip doesn't put them negative. So you won't see necessarily a negative day here yet. You do definitely see a slowness in how the funding goes. But not only is that pretty typical, but especially with the campaign they're running where they're constantly adding all these add-ons, it's getting more expensive. The people that add the add-ons and the people that drop out because they can't afford the add-ons is kind of evening out right now. I suspect there will be some kind of all-in at the end. That's typically what these companies do, and there'll be something there, but it's definitely slowed down, and I think that partially has to do with all the add-ons. But they may have more information than that. This is the only information I can glean from this. When I spoke to them via email, they did say that they hadn't noticed a big impact. So this has not impacted Into the Unknown very much financially. Now, they were contacted by several developers. I was not given the names of the developers, nor did I inquire further on that, because that's kind of a moot point. The point is that they were really pushing for the receipts, right? The emails that were released. And that's just because they did kind of make that claim, and you can't just throw that out, willy-nilly here. So there was definitely an industry pushback as well, both other content creators. There was several Facebook posts of that, and then other developers that kind of reacted to that. Now, as for Jesse's stuff, well, that's a little bit of a different story. You can see here on Social Blade, he's lost about 3.6 thousand. It's actually been a bit more than that because that includes some positives. That's in the last 30 days. But you can kind of see the dip there when it comes to subscribers. One thing I will note is on his channel, when you see his channel here, he has 44.1 thousand subscribers right now. But if you look at the views, it's actually not like a huge amount per video. He can get decent views. So I'm not saying he can't. In fact, he can beat me in a lot of them. But what I'm saying is that to gain that, a lot of that was he went for a good, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, doing a lot of giveaways and stuff like that where you had to be subscribed and whatnot. So he gained a big amount that way, but then didn't. I've done that once, and I regret doing it because you do get a lot of kind of fake subscribers, right, that aren't really there for your channel and not really participating in the content, not watching your videos. They just subscribed, hoping they'd win, and then you never see them again. And it just kind of actually hurts your statistics a little bit because then you were getting very few or even losing some as they drop off from not getting the giveaway. I don't recommend it. If you were wanting to do YouTube and wanting to get the subscriber count, it's not worth it. I probably won't be doing that again. But anyway, that inflated numbers quite a bit. So when you see the drop down in subscribers, those are more or less the active ones, the ones that are still in the industry, the ones that are still hearing about this. So it's actually a little bit more impactful than that. The other thing that we can actually take a look at is Graphtreon, which tracks kind of Patreon. And as you can see, there's definitely a kind of a plummet here. The yellow line is the amount of patrons. The green line is earnings per month. And then there's a light green, which you're not going to even see here. That's like the per patron. This is kind of a little information there. So as you can see, definitely a big drop. That was pretty much the day this all kind of went down. But honestly, it's just kind of a general trend line, right? As kind of dropping. I don't know if that did any kind of push towards bigger deals with that or any other kind of business tactics to kind of adjust or change that, but it was definitely kind of a little bit of a trend there. Now, one thing I will say is that even with this, he makes more than me on Patreon. So it's this, he still has plenty. He still has plenty. I mean, I can't even afford to go to Gen Con, guys. So it's definitely, he's doing okay there. If it was just him, maybe because, no kids, right? Nothing like that. Though he does have other employees. We'll see how that works. The one thing we won't probably ever see is a lost potential. In other words, what companies now will go to him and ask for a sponsorship? if he's trying to work out a deal, what company wants to have a sponsored video on his channel right now? I imagine at least for a short term, that's going to kind of dry up, and that's obviously a big funding for him. Even if the 7,500 was dropped down lower that he had asked for, that's still more than most people make an entire month, right? I mean, now again, he has employees; it's his full-time job, all that other kind of stuff. But anyway, we won't know the whole fallout of that. I don't think that apology video did a whole lot, though. I think anybody that kind of took that and felt really, really good about it probably was already going to be kind of okay with them anyway. I don't think that really turned too many opinions. So, Into the Unknown, doing okay. Quack, not in a good spot right now, and definitely I think Jesse needs to kind of work on getting better. Just take the time to focus on that. Have Weston and them just kind of run things for a little bit. Focus on your life. You're getting married, doing all that kind of stuff. But he's in Israel right now. So anyway, that's all I had. Again, there is going to be a news video. There's definitely some new announcements I need to tell you. Some big changes to some things that are up right now, and some things that just launched that I haven't even covered yet. A big surprise. So stay tuned for that. And I'm going to have a nice unboxing for you here when I get home. Guys, I miss you guys so much. I am so glad I got an excuse to talk to you guys. So I'm signing off on this. Again, I'm not going to be commenting more on this, I think, unless something big happens or anything like that. I just want to make sure those all the information out there is correct, that there's no kind of missteering of the data. When we actually have the data, it's kind of nice to have. So anyway, take care, guys. See you in a little bit. Bye, guys.